never been in there. So, this is for the DEA and CPS place, DEA in Oregon and CPS place in Washington or wherever else. First of all, I was gonna say, the criminal mafia syndicate that I made it was for plausible deniability, meaning anyone that I'd seen within the last 4 years or whatever, since they were legally looking through my eyes on the ground when I've never been in trouble and I've never been to prison and I've never hurt another human being on the planet in my life. For anybody that I may or may not have known or came across that may or may not have done criminal activity or did drugs or whatever, you weren't supposed to watch them, listen to them, record them, or write them down, just like you weren't supposed to do that for me either, except to prove me innocent. And you're supposed to go down my timeline, which is hard on the ground because too many people use my power source or whatever. It's hard to see which one, because when you look down here at me or whatever, when you come back, you see me, but it's not me that's in here, it's them. And they're usually guys, well, they were anyway. Possible deniability for people that I've come in contact with, because it's something that should be without fail a situation, criminal falsely accused of stuff. And it was also a place where I was hoping I would be able to come in here in my mind or virtual reality somehow, because people told me they could see through my eyes or whatever it wasn't. Like maybe I'd be able to come in here in my mind on TV, or I don't really know how I thought about it, but anyways, and be able to talk to my friends that may or may not have been in jail or whatever over there in Portland that I left behind when I crossed the bridge to get clean and sober 2 years ago, and move away from that scary life that was over there. And that's pretty much it. I started that syndicate, sticking up for people like Shrapnel and everybody else, where they were trying to say that they killed somebody or whatever it wasn't. And I went to court in here with a UE member, either wearing my body or setting it up ahead of time so that they could hear my opinion about this person. It was just to say that they didn't do it, or I thought they were a good person or whatever. But I really don't know what the charges were because I'm not in there. So anyway, that's pretty much that. And then anything else? I don't look at the camera much or whatever, because the people that watch the video that are in here, they can see who's in my body, and they don't like to see it. And when you're backward scanned in, they're looking for the criminal. But depending on what level they're on, they're either looking through somebody else's eyes at me on the ground, but don't know that I'm not in there, or they're looking through my eyes at somebody else, and it can get really confusing. It can also be like you look at her and then you turn into me. You turn into looking like me if I'm the main power source, I think, or something. Like right now, they said they made some videos earlier to show how setups in progress were. And you can only see 5 levels deep in here, but I have like 15 people on my team or whatever. But I'm like number 4, but it wasn't me in here that was doing it. It was number 1 at the bottom, but you can't even see it, and you wouldn't know to look for number 1 unless you were a UE member, part of the whole investigation or whatever. Just like back in the day when I did that thing, like you took a picture of somebody in here, right? And I was like, okay, so you would imagine the picture popping up, and I was like, I did a video of me going, okay, so you watch this video in here, this is the picture, right? And in your world, you see my picture or the picture that pops up when you read the video in your world. But whatever you're looking at needed some ISTEM codes on it. You might be able to see through the picture to see who's in there. But you didn't know, but you also knew to look across the way to see who was really in there, or who was on the bottom of it, or who was really behind it, because really it was just a reflection of whoever was the main power source, which has been me for a long time now, kind of, I think. And maybe somebody else. Females that are not usually supposed to be in here at all. They just use us as scapegoats or whatever while they do whatever they do. No kids, no No kids, no cops, no girls, they said. Cops were to sit on your head if you were in trouble, in prison, or whatever. But that was for the game, not for the law portion of it on the other side. That's just what the boys told me or whatever. And they did tell me straight up that they set me up because they didn't want me to come in here and see what they did to me or whatever. Because anyways, in the very beginning, this was like before I moved to Vancouver. So it was a little over, right around there, 2 years ago in February. A game ended or whatever, and the power sources switched over to me, I guess, somehow. And the voices in the sky threatened my life and threatened my son's life, that if I didn't give them permission to look or watch me with my best friend at the time, then he would hurt him in jail or make him kill him or whatever. And they're very, very intimidating voices when they're in your body and they're making you shake or whatever. I wrote it down on a piece of paper and I said, I give you permission to look at me and my friend if we both agree on the ground together, not in here, but together in here for whatever you're not saying. And it was supposed to be a binding contract, but I didn't even want to put that down, but I didn't have a choice because he scared me or whatever. It's recorded in here. At the time, I did not know what they were talking about. I thought they were talking about doing drugs or something. Anyway, it's super, super depressing that nobody I know, my family, my friends, nobody ever knew that I ever did drugs, let alone needles or whatever. Or that I got off of them 2 years ago, but because of the way that it is in here, all of a sudden everybody knows that me and a bunch of other people did needles, and they made me look like I did it when I was pregnant and stuff, because they were using these bodies that came in here off the pictures with erased brainstem codes, and it's just, dude, it's just ridiculous, man. It's just ridiculous how bad it is. And I never gave permission for them to use my daughter's fucking body. I said they could use her hair stem codes. My daughter was a kid, not an adult. It's just that they kept calling her Soraya or Solara or Samaria or something different in here. And they would say it through my mouth like they were that person and they were an adult. Right? So with that being said, I had seen my kids and I knew they were fine, and I knew this was just the voices and that you guys didn't exist back then, back when all this first started, when I moved across the bridge. You're still just the voices. I still have no real proof that you exist in real life, and that's why it's fucked up. The only people that know that you really exist are the ones that are in big trouble or the ones that agree to be informants, I think, besides the UE people up here. And that's fairly new, I think, with everything else. People were in here because they were trapped in here. They were forced to basically set people up, I guess, to get told on, or basically go up to them and ask them straight up, did you do this, or do you know who did this, I guess. And they wanted me to mention that because they never agreed to do that either, because then they come back in on the other side, unbeknownst to them, that their back brains or whoever was in their back brains was saying stuff that they never would have said about somebody different. And they're not even in trouble. They've never been arrested. Maybe they were just some, random person on the street that got sucked in here because somebody was watching them, or maybe they got high with them or whatever. They looked at a picture or whatever. I know they used my son's body in here a lot. They made him do some stupid rap song about something that didn't really happen in real life. And it wasn't even my son. I talked to my son, and he's like, Mom, you're crazy. I don't know nothing about no alternate reality. I sure as hell didn't do a stupid rap song like that for publicity or whatever that evil guy made him do it for. Unless they were trying to get the one inside of him in trouble that was hiding in his body. So anyway, I think that's it. I've been being told for like 2 years now that I'm exonerated, committed, and all these other things from all these charges in here because I'm not in here. But the people that are in here where you guys are don't know that I'm not in here because they're watching videos or because I'm connected like this. And they don't always see me, but they'll talk out of my mouth, but they don't even see my world because they don't have the split screen on and they're not down on the bottom level. I said I was the root to the Ewa tree, feeding it with Kangen water and reminding everybody to not smoke cigarettes and not do drugs because it kills people. And on the few times that I did smoke marijuana or whatever, I did it with cancer treatment research permissions and a leaf, which is what they call it. And they put it into a machine in here to help them feel less lethargy from losing their life force, or if they have cancer like me, or if they're connected to embolism. They also use it for blues clues and heroin overdoses in here because sometimes they're floating above people smoking or whatever, and a little kid died in here just floating above them. Little Snowy, which came in here from one of my daughter's pictures when she was 4. That somebody named Snowy the product or whatever. It was like a fake version of her, adopted her or whatever. A long time ago, Mother Earth took care of my babies. Saran, when she was baby, came in here 3 months old, a whole bunch of times with Anunnakis in it. And she was breastfeeding them, and it wasn't just her baby, my baby either. It was a couple other people's babies up in Japan or wherever they were at. That was before they knew how to just put them to bed with the UE, because she wasn't UE. They just got in here on accident because of the seeing the stars and keeping the slide build electrons or whatever. But you're supposed to erase brain stems, dead and player, and put them up underneath something alive like a tree or something. And that just takes the spirit body out. And it doesn't kill it, but it just basically, it turns the player off or whatever, because you guys are an alternate reality. And as much as we feel each other's emotions, the people on the ground don't know what you guys do in here unless they text themselves or sit in their brains and tell themselves that. In the Palamador or Piamidor or whatever you want to call it, Greek word type thing, or Preliminador or whatever, it wasn't just about keeping your bodies on, it was about keeping you alive. It was about setting out a life line in here so that you could have favor. Now with all this S corporation stuff, everybody wants to be a part of it and be a part of something bigger and like saving the world from the mark of the beast and learning all this stuff in your like inventions and stuff. Or like you see somebody with something cool and you don't have it and you can't buy it, so you think of a way to make it in here. And they got a lot of cool shit from my ideas or whatever, and then their brain stems think of even more ideas, and it just intensifies all the coolness in here that does not mean shit to me because I'm not in there and I've never been in there. Because I'm not FBI and I'm not DEA and I'm not any of that. I just let the CIA do their business in my head. Well, the FBI were under them doing it, and whoever else under them doing it, and then the evil game under that, where I had no choice but to sit there and wait for them to tell me, okay, we're done, you're in the clear, or whatever, because when this person leaves, it's somebody different, and I can't think straight at all. It's just one thing after the other. If you were to look at my scrolls and stuff, you can see like my handwriting changes. I'm going to try to do the thing now. This? No. Okay, so my name is Tiffany. I solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. And this is Tony, my baby's mom, in here with long red hair. And I did not know she was in here illegally as a slut bunny, even though I told them not to use her fucking body or anybody else with red hair or whatever. Sorry, I didn't mean to say her name. She is my baby's stepmom, and she is the most amazing human being on the planet. She's never hurt her kids. Sal never hurt his kids. They didn't have permission to use his body and make fun of it or whatever they weren't saying, or not make fun of it. I've never given anybody permission to use anybody else's body in here when I'm not in here, except mine, to the UE to prove people's innocence or whatever. And they call them all my bodies or whatever because they're all on my line or off my power source. And some of them actually have lifelines and have been in here for a long time and have personalities, but they don't really have a matching character on the ground that they can identify with, like that they're working through or for. They're just working in here to stay alive in here. The infinity power source was made by the UE trying to keep Tiffany alive on the ground, with Japan helping. And it was a compound fracture thing from God's helmets from Arizona. And it was all the way at the top. Oh yeah, she contacted Interpol too. Interpol, they said UNICEF because there was some bad stuff about that over there. I thought UNICEF was Interpol the whole time. I saw the stars that put a hole in the universe, they said. We had to call a bunch of UE, which was like ATF, I guess, and build a whole new globe because people were getting sucked out there. Anyway, for a while, planes did not fly in here. We thought exports, imports were going to stop and all that. And then at one point, everybody on my chain died because Evil Michael or Electric Michael came in and electrocuted everybody to the point of them sizzling. And that had to do with Boeing airplane throws where Evil Anunnaki, I could hear them tying people together in here and throwing them off a Boeing airplane onto a fucking power line where they would sizzle and electrocute, and we would literally have to sit here. Like, this was before we copied my power source to a different person first. We just had to sit here. They would sit in my body. We'd be like, take the body down, den player, 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 to get the electricity to stop from bouncing around and killing people over and over and over again. Which is probably another reason why I had electricity burns on my head. Beheaded in London for that. And that was a 50,000 people are watching situation. And that was before I even moved to Washington. 2 years ago, I think. I think, is that it? Yeah. Anything else? Not really. My name is Sarah. I'm not your friend Grayson at all, like at all. And it was not me who said that, or Timmy who said that in here about Tiffany. On the opposite side of what we're not saying. Because they don't know her anymore, but they never would have said whatever they said. These are different affidavits that were said that they were signed by people in here saying Tiffany did stuff that she didn't do in here when Tiffany's never been in here. It was just a reflection of Tiffany being down here, being the magic power source that they were all living off of. Or they wore a body for whatever they were wearing it for. Because all these bodies had magic sources, power sources, and money on them. The Empress Division calling. There was like $1.5 million on it. They gambled with it. They lived off of it. They copied it. I copied it from one to another to another to another. And here I made special ones for the UE. We made a UE spaceship up here that was supposed to be a Noah's Ark after the nukes went off. And brought green gamma in my room. And it was supposed to take all the smartest people, all the astronomies and everybody, and all the UE members, and like it was basically supposed to be a Noah's Ark for whatever was going on, because we thought that everybody was going to die from nuke poisoning. Because they did get really sick and started dying, just like they started dying off of anthrax and all these other fearful things that happened. We survived off of the Japan computer with ion drips flushing our system of the poisons and toxins and putting a lot of the anthrax bodies on ice that were skins or whatever somewhere. We had crates and crates and crates of them in here somewhere frozen. That one said love and a little footprint. Did you see that one? attack 3 of them or something. That was tight. Since I got that on tape, I'm just gonna end it right now. It's like a butterfly right here. Right here. Oops. Please help me, Yui. I'm dying down here. The longer this goes on, man, the worse I'm getting. I can't do it. Still, I say I can't take it anymore, man.